The L322 Range Rover is still to this day one of the best 4x4s by far, but with such greatness comes a few flaws here and there. And as much as I adore the L322, and especially mine, there's no denying that there are a few little small things that occasionally you have to deal with. So I figured it was finally time to go over everything wrong, currently, with my L322 Range Rover from 2011 with almost 123,500 miles on it. And quite honestly, there's not that many things wrong. I've done really well at keeping it up and taking care of the things that need to be addressed, but there are still a few little pieces that could be fixed if I wanted to, aside from one. Before we jump into this video, I just want to clarify one thing. I'm in no way complaining about my Range Rover or any Range Rover. I think it's important to mention that there are just things that are objectively wrong with it, and there's no denying it. I love my L322 as much as some people love their first kid, so really I'm not complaining about anything. I have nothing to complain about. The only thing I want to mention is that I am going to talk about a lot of small things, which is going to make it sound like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I just think it would be interesting to see what other people are dealing with on their L322, so I'm going to take the first step and show you what I'm dealing with on mine after 7 years and 123,000 miles. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you get more content with the Range Rover and other Land Rovers, as well as the Infiniti that we bought for $900. First off, let's talk about the exterior. Now, aside from being dirty, there's really nothing wrong aside from a few bumps and bruises that were there the day I bought it. And there's also one that I've caused myself by driving too quickly into the garage and hitting a shelf. Now, some people might say you could have used your parking sensors, and that's true. And I did. But the problem is the parking sensors on the L322, if you go a little too quickly, have a bit of a delay, so it's easy to drive into things.
Oh, all right, then you're just a moron.
There's also the gas cap lock that, admittedly, I broke on my own. You see, when I bought the car, I traded in a 2003 Honda Accord that had as many features as a Plant. So not many. But I was obsessed with the nipple that would come in and out of the gas cap lock that would lock the door. Now, the problem came when one day I was filling the car up in Atlanta when we were down there to pick up the 7 Series, and I was playing with the lock and unlock button. And that caused the nipple to come in and then go out and then go back in and retract to where it then never came back out. So I tried to pull it out with a key and ended up shoving it in there more. So that's my fault. I did that. Now let's talk about the mechanical bits on the car that aren't really, I guess, perfect, but are still in good condition. And first up is something with the air suspension. Now, ever since I bought the car, and I mean 30,000 miles and almost 2 years ago, it occasionally throws a fault that says normal height only. Now, the problem is I've taken it to multiple people to look at, and they have never pointed anything out aside from, yep, it's a Land Rover, it'll do that. Okay, well, that's cool, but the problem is it consistently comes back. It's not every day, it's not every week, it's not even every month. It's just every few months this little light will come on that says only normal height available. But that's it. It doesn't raise slowly, it doesn't lower, it doesn't go to the bump stops, the springs aren't messed up, the air struts aren't messed up, the compressor's fine, everything's fine. So I suspect it might be a height sensor that's kind of throwing everything off, because it's been perfectly fine for 30,000 miles and almost 2 years. It's never done a thing. I even had it inspected at a Land Rover dealership at Land Rover Knoxville, and nothing was said about it. So, I don't know. Aside from that, though, the only thing I have to do to mechanical bits is a service on the gearbox. I just need to do the gearbox service, flush the fluid, and add some more back. And that's next up on the list. Now let's dive into some of the interior pieces that have broken, gone missing, or just completely snapped in half ever since I bought the car back in October 2016. First off, let's talk about the new issue. The clip that goes in the air vent that makes it look all fancy with its chrome attributes or metal attributes. Now the problem is this is just a cheap plastic piece from Jaguar Land Rover that apparently snaps. The plastic piece in this air vent has just disappeared about a week ago, and on top of that it flew into the floorboard the first time, and then the second time it actually flew out the window. So Land Rover, good. So that's gone now. And if you have that piece for sale, just go ahead and leave a comment below or send me an email, because I would be more than happy to buy it from you, because it does actually really bother me. It's the only thing on the interior that bothers me every single time I drive the car. On top of that, the sun visor clip that I mentioned in a previous video is still missing. I've just not gotten around to fixing it. It snapped when I was closing the sun visor one time, and ever since then it's been sitting in the glove box. I've never bothered to replace it because it's really not that big of a deal. Occasionally, Rachel the Rover will flap her wings at me, and I'll put it back in place and move on. Last up, but most importantly, is the dashboard glue or seal that has come unglued, unsealed, whatever you want to call it, and occasionally will make a noise, a humming noise above 40 miles an hour when wind or air gets through it. All you have to do is push it back into place. There is a more permanent fix for it where you can re-glue it or reseal it. It's not something I've looked into because, like a good hooker, it comes and goes.
That's what she said.
So honestly, that's about it. After 7 years and 123,000 miles and taking care of the service that has come up, there's really nothing too wrong with the car mechanically, aside from a random, possibly height sensor and a gearbox flush that needs to be done. But both of those are very common and need to routinely happen, so I'm not too concerned with that. The one thing that is concerning though is the dashboard, and I will attempt to look into that at one point, but I'm not too concerned with it because as long as you put that piece back down, it's fine. So anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn notifications on to get more content with this car and more content with all the cars we work with. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.